Well, the Prophet Noble explains to us that Marcus Garvey was his forerunner, just like John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days. Marcus Garvey started the people to thinking, our people, to thinking about, hey, up you mighty nation, you can liberate yourself. Because in Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, he also says to his people, he said, we need a nationality, just like the Chinese, just like the English. He said, and we need to get back to the God of Africa, who is Allah. Now, I'm quoting Marcus Garvey's words from his letter in his book, Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. So those people who doubt Marcus Garvey being a forerunner of the prophet should read the Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. And it's right there. We know that Marcus Garvey was a nationalist, and he was beginning to get our people to think other than Negro, black, and colored, especially colored. A proud brother from St. Anne's, Jamaica, I believe, the land of the Maroons. They're called the Maroons because they wore the red cap, and they're from the mountains in Jamaica. And those mountains then and now grow some of the most flavorful coffee in the world, called Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, and which is where they, from what I understand, originated a jerk seasoning, and they jerked everything there in order to make it taste better and more flavorful. But Marcus Garvey, in his book, Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, letters from his wife who put this book together, he talks about growing up as a boy, if you recall, and how he felt his power as a young man, and that he played with Europeans and they never saw the difference until one day his European friend told him that she couldn't play with him no more, that there was a difference. And how he felt his power as a man. He began to feel his power. Booker T. Washington to him was a hero because Booker T. Washington was propagating education for our people, but in the construction area and building cabinets and carpentry and all kind of things that we needed to do to build houses, bricklaying, and et cetera, et cetera. And he says, wow, this is powerful. And he was excited when he came to America, from what his book says, to meet Booker T. Washington. And all of the things that he thought he would see, he didn't see. So he says in his book, I didn't see the things I thought I would see here as a result of Booker T. Washington's thrust in terms of educating our people, so I will build it myself. So Marcus Garvey, as we know, put together the Universal Negro Association, where he attracted so many people, and his position was to connect Asiatics from all around the world. And in doing so, he bought a ship, as we know, and he named the ship Black Star ship, the Black Star. And he was so proud of that ship that he put a banner on that ship, a flag, or banner is what it really is, and the banner was red, black, and green, which unfortunately many of our people took as a flag that belonged to Africa, but it had no significance to Africa whatsoever, in the words of James Brown. So it had no significance to that. Marcus Garvey really did stir up the people in New York. He had parades, he had marching, and when we examine his dues card that he gave to his members, it's very familiar to the dues cards that the Prophet Noble has given to the Moorish Americans, the nomenclature of the dues card. However, Marcus Garvey started the people to thinking, our people, to thinking about, hey, up you mighty nation, you can liberate yourself. Because in Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, he also says to his people, he says, the so-called Negro needs a God. The so-called Negro, needs a nationality, just like the Chinese, just like the English. He said, we need a nationality. He said, and we need to get back to the God of Africa, who is Allah. Now, I'm quoting Marcus Garvey's words from his letter in his book, Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. So those people who doubt Marcus Garvey being a forerunner of the prophet should read the Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. And it's right there. It's there. So, and in fact, we read a newspaper clipping where the prophet visited Marcus Garvey while he was in prison. And he explained to Marcus Garvey how great of a job he was doing. And Marcus Garvey was pleased. He was pleased. But I don't know how many historians realize that Marcus Garvey was murdered by his own people. He was brutally murdered. But that's the price, unfortunately, it is for leadership. Look what happened to Jesus. The people did these things. He says, let his blood be on our hands and our children's hands. So for those of us who are trying to be righteous and good leaders for our people, be prepared that those kind of prices you have to pay for. That's why Jesus asked himself, do I have the strength to become a willing sacrifice for the sons of men? You got to make that choice one day. And when you say yes, know that you're not looking for someone to talk about you after the grave, but in your heart, did you do right by yourself and the people?